Welcome back to my channel, and if you are visiting this space for the first time, you are also highly welcome. In this lecture, we'll be looking at the cartilage. The cartilage is a specialized type of connective tissue. I have done a lecture on connective tissue where I described the general configuration of the connective tissue. If you've not checked that lecture, please kindly go and do so. But for the purpose of this class, we would be focusing on the cartilage, which we say is a specialized type of connective tissue. If you try to use this image by the side here, this is where we have the cartilage here, arrowed in black. In this lecture, we'll be establishing the structural configuration of the cartilage. We'll also be highlighting the different regions of the body where cartilages are deposited, and also the different types of cartilages that we have and the specifications that also come with it. So we say that cartilage is a specialized type of connective tissue, and it is specialized because it is made up of specialized type of cell and also specialized type of extracellular matrix. These will be unfolding as we go through with this lecture. So if you try to use this image by the side here, this is where we have the cartilage here, arrowed in yellow. We say that the cartilage is seen to be stiff but flexible. So it is not seen to be as hard and rigid as bone. And this is as a result of the structural orientation of its extracellular matrix. This will also be unfolding as we go through with this lecture. Before we drive through, let's highlight the different regions of the body where cartilages are deposited. So you see cartilages in the joint. If you try to use this image by the side here, this is the cartilage deposition here at the joint. And specifically, it is referred to as articular cartilage. At this point, you see this cartilage lining the articular surfaces of the bones that are seen to come together to form joints. So at this region, we have deposits of cartilage. They are also seen around the rib cage. If you try to use this image by the side here, this is where we have the rib cage within the thoracic space. And in the anterior region here that is harrowed in red is where we have the cartilage. And specifically here, it is referred to as the costal cartilages. These costal cartilages are seen to form the anterior continuation of ribs. If you look at this structure that is highlighted here in white, these are the ribs, and anteriorly they become continuous as the costal cartilages. And it is through these costal cartilages that these ribs are then connected to the sternum. So you see that we have also cartilaginous deposits around the rib cage. They are also seen in the ear. Using this image up here, this is where we have the external hair here, harrowed in green, and this is also referred to as the pinna or the auricle. So you have cartilaginous deposit also around the space. You also have it in the nose. Using this image down here, this is where we have the nose here, harrowed in white. We also have cartilaginous deposit around the nasal region. It's also seen in the trachea. This is where we have the trachea here, harrowed in white. The cartilage is seen to form the major structural component of the trachea, and this is what is projected here in this image. And we know that at a point around the carina here that is arrowed also in white, we have the bifurcation of the trachea into two, and this is where the trachea will be feeding the two lungs with oxygen. And at this point, after this division, we have the formation of the bronchi. Also around the bronchi, we also have cartilaginous deposits. Cartilage are also seen in the intervertebral disc. If you try to use this image also by the side, this is where we have the intervertebral disc here, arrowed in blue. The intervertebral disc is the joint that is seen to connect the small pieces of bones that are seen to form the alignment of the vertebral column. We know that the vertebral column is formed by small pieces of bones arranged one on top of each other. And at the point where this arrangement or these connections are created, we have the intervertebral disc. At this point, we also have cartilaginous deposits. So we try to highlight the different regions of the body where we have cartilaginous deposits using these images in this slide. So let's look through the functions of the cartilage. We already said that the cartilage is a specialized type of connective tissue, and it's important for us to also highlight the functions that they exhibit. So cartilages are seen to provide support and also structural framework of tissue. So you see them forming the bulk or the structural alignment of some tissues in the body. For example, in the trachea, this is where we have the trachea here, harrowed in white. If you look at the trachea, you see that the bulk of the trachea is formed by cartilage. So at this point, it is seen to form the framework of the trachea itself. If you look at the external here that is harrowed in green, which is referred to as the auricle or the pinna, at this region, it is also seen to form the structural framework of the external ear. If you also go to the nose that is harrowed here in yellow, it is also seen to form the structural framework of the nose. So you see that the cartilage are seen as specific regions of the body where they are seen to build or form the structural alignment of some tissues or organs in the body. And at this point where they do this, you see that they're helping to define and also maintain the shapes of these organs. If you look at the trachea, it will mean that the shape of the cartilage around this space will determine the shape of the trachea, because we say that the cartilage at this point is seen to form the major structural component of the trachea. Also, if you go to the external here, using this image here that is harrowed in green, the shape that is defined by the cartilage will determine the shape of the external ear. So at this point, they're helping to define and also maintain the shape of these structures. They are also seen to aid or contribute to the creation of joints. If you try to use this image up here, this is where we say we have the articular cartilage here, harrowed in red. We say that cartilaginous deposits or alignment at joints are referred to as articular cartilages. And at this point, they contribute to the formation of joints. We know that joint is created when two or more bones connect together. These bones, before they connect with each other, there is cartilaginous deposit forming an alignment on the articular surfaces of these bones. And this is what is projected here in this image. And what they do at this point is to enhance flexibility. We know that the cartilage possesses some form of flexibility, and they also contribute this at the point where they are aligning the articular surfaces of this bone in the quest of forming the joint. They are also seen to help reduce friction. So there is easy sliding of the bones across each other, because if the articular cartilages are not deposited or are not seen to form alignment on the articular surfaces of these bones, the bones will have direct contact with each other, and this is going to bring about friction. But when there is lining of articular cartilages on the surfaces of these bones, there's going to be the reduction of friction. So the movement of the bones across each other around this joint capsule will be easy and also enhanced. And finally, it's going to act as a shock absorber. So when there are impacts created on these joints, the articular cartilages are seen to help absorb this impact so that the impact is not transmitted into the joint capsule where it can affect the joints. So they are not just seen to line the articulating bones, they're also seen to provide some form of functions around this joint. And this is what we have highlighted. They are also seen to form the basis of the formation of bone. We have some bones in the body during the developmental process that are formed from cartilages. If you go to the embryonic development of bone, you see that some bones are developed from previously formed cartilages, and this occurred through endochondrial ossification. So we have cartilages also forming the basis onto which some bones are formed in the body. These are the functions that are attributed to cartilages. So let's look at the general characteristics of cartilages. There are some features or characteristics that cartilages exhibit, and it's good for us to highlight this. First is the fact that they are avascular. So they are not seen to have blood supply, but they are able to receive nutrients and also oxygen from the neighboring blood capillaries. And what this means that the healing process when injury comes is going to be poor, because the substances that are needed in form of oxygen and also nutrients for healing process will not be efficiently provided. And this is why the healing process of cartilages tends to be slow, because they are avascular. There's also the lack of lymphatic drainage, and this will mean that tissue fluid will not have a means to be drained out of the cartilage. And lastly is that they have no nerve supply, and this means that they will be insensitive. So there's not going to be the generation of impulses within the cartilage because of the lack of nerve supply. So if you put all these three together, what this means is that there's going to be a poor regenerating capacity. So when there's injury or insult on the cartilage and there's a need for the cartilage to regenerate, this is going to be poorly exhibited because there is lack of blood supply and also lack of lymphatic drainage. So now let's look at the general feature of the cartilage. This will help us understand the basis behind the cartilage being classified under a specialized type of connective tissue. We say it is specialized because it will be distinct in its own way. It means that the characteristics that will be exhibited by it will be attributed to just the cartilage. Because it is specialized, it is seen to have specialized type of cell and also specialized type of extracellular matrix. If we go back to our lecture on the connective tissue, we described that the general configuration of connective tissue is to have cells embedded in extracellular matrix. For cartilage, as we have highlighted that it is a specialized type of connective tissue, it means that it is seen with specialized type of cells and also specialized type of extracellular matrix. So what are the distinct types of cell and extracellular matrix that the cartilage is structurally made up of? The specialized type of cell in cartilage are chondrocytes. These are specific to cartilage. These chondrocytes are not seen in other type of connective tissue except for the cartilage. So they are distinct for cartilage, and this is why they are specialized. So we have chondrocytes seen in single or in group, and this is what is seen to be harrowed here in pink. These chondrocytes are seen to be embedded in the lacuna, and this is the lacuna here, highlighted here in yellow. So you have the space where these cells are embedded, and this is given specific name, and the specific name is the lacuna. So you have a number of lacunae within the cartilage where chondrocytes are embedded. So we have the lacuna here, also highlighted in yellow, of course, creating a space onto which the group of chondrocytes are embedded. Then we have the specialized extracellular matrix. This extracellular matrix is basically made up of fibers and also the ground substance. This is the fiber here that is harrowed here in brown. Then we have the ground substance here also that is harrowed here in ash. This ground substance is like the background of the cartilage. It is onto this ground substance that the cell and also the fibers are embedded. So you see that we have two major structural components. We have the specialized cell, which is the chondrocyte, embedded in a space that is referred to as the lacuna. Then we have the specialized extracellular matrix, which is the compartment that is located outside the cellular compartment. And this is further divided into the fibers and also the ground substance. So for the fibers, specifically for cartilage, we could either have the type 1 or type 2 collagen fiber, or we have the elastic fibers. So we have these distinct types of fibers within the cartilage. Then the ground substance, we have the protoglycans, which include the chondroitin sulfate and also the keratan sulfate. We have the glycoproteins. The glycoproteins include the chondronectin and also the chondrocalcin. Then finally, we have water. So these are the three major structural components of the ground substance that we have in cartilage. And this is distinct for cartilage. Then finally, we have a surrounding perichondrium, and this is what is harrowed here in black. This perichondrium is a dense, irregular type of connective tissue, and it is seen to surround the cartilage. So this is the kind of configuration that we have of cartilage. This is the general feature that is presented of a cartilage. We see that they are truly specialized because they have distinct types of cells and also distinct types of extracellular matrix. So now let's look at the different types of cartilages that we have. We have the hyaline type of cartilage, then we have the fibrocartilage, then finally we have the elastic cartilage. These are the three types of cartilages that we have. And we'll be driving into each of these types to establish the specificity that they present. So for the hyaline type of cartilage, this is the most abundant type of cartilage in the body. So where do we have hyaline type of cartilage deposited in the body. They are seen at articular surfaces. If you try to use this image by the side here, this is where we have the articular cartilage here. We say that where cartilages are seen to line the articulating bones at joint, they are specifically referred to as articular cartilages. So this is what we see here at this point. So we see hyaline cartilage as a specific type of cartilage that is seen to run through the articulating bones that are seen at joint. They are also seen in embryonic skeleton. So remember, when we try to highlight the functions of cartilage, we say that some bones are formed from previously formed cartilages. So this type of cartilages during embryonic development are hyaline type of cartilage. Then we also have hyaline type of cartilage deposited in the trachea. This is where we have the trachea here, harrowed in green. If you not check up my lecture on the trachea, please kindly go and do so. In the trachea, we say that the bulk of the trachea is formed by cartilage, and specifically it is formed by hyaline type of cartilage, which are serine cartilages that are arranged one on top of each other. So at this point, you have hyaline cartilage, of course, forming the structural framework of the trachea. And when you go down at this point, you have the trachea dividing into the right principal bronchus and also the left principal bronchus. So at this point where they divide, you have the formation of the bronchi. The bronchi also are seen with cartilaginous deposits. It is also seen specifically to be deposited with hyaline type of cartilage. Then you also see hyaline type of cartilage in the larynx. This is where you have the larynx here, harrowed in red. The larynx is seen at the upper part of the trachea. I've also put up a lecture on the larynx. If you've not checked that lecture up, please kindly go and do so. We say that the larynx is structurally made up of a number of cartilages that are seen to come together. So you have a number of cartilages, coming together to form the larynx. All these cartilages are not all of hyaline type of cartilage. Some are elastic type of cartilage. From the larynx, the thyroid cartilage and the cricoid cartilage are seen to be hyaline type of cartilage. This is where we have the thyroid cartilage here at the front. This thyroid cartilage forms the bulk of the larynx, and it is seen to form the Adam's apple. At the inferior part here is where we have the cricoid cartilage. So these two cartilages, the thyroid cartilage and the cricoid cartilage, are seen as hyaline type of cartilage. Behind, we have the arytenoid. This arytenoid has hyaline deposits and also elastic deposits. So it is not solely an hyaline type of cartilage. It is made up of hyaline cartilage and also elastic cartilage. When we get to elastic cartilage, you will also be highlighting the arytenoid cartilage. So you know the specific type of cartilage within the larynx that is made up of hyaline type of cartilage. So we have the thyroid cartilage, so the cricoid cartilage, and also we have the arytenoid cartilage. Also, around the rib cage up here, we also have hyaline type of cartilage. Remember when we try to highlight the different regions of the body where we have cartilaginous deposits? So if you look at the rib cage, at this anterior part here that is arrowed in black, is where we have the costal cartilage. These costal cartilages are highlighted here in red. This costal cartilage, we say that they form the anterior continuation of the ribs, and at this point is where they are connected to the sternum. So the ribs are not directly connected to the sternum, but they are connected through the costal cartilages, and this is what is highlighted here in red. And these costal cartilages are hyaline type of cartilage. So you see that the different regions of the body we have hyaline type of cartilage, and it is the most abundant out of all the three that we have highlighted. So now going through the structural orientation of hyaline type of cartilage, because it is hyaline type of cartilage, it means it would have its own distinct characteristics. So it is seen to have cell. We know that cartilages are seen with a specialized type of cell because they are specialized type of connective tissue. So they are seen with chondrocytes. Then we have the extracellular matrix. So for the cellular compartment, which are the chondrocytes that are embedded in the lacuna. So this is where we have the chondrocytes here arrowed in pink. Then we have the lacuna here highlighted in yellow. Generally in hyaline type of cartilage, this chondrocytes are seen to be in groups within the extracellular matrix. So they are usually seen in groups, and this is what is presented here in this image. Then you have them filled in a space that is referred to as the lacuna. So you have a number of lacunae here highlighted in yellow, and these cells are collected together in a cell nest. So they are referred to as isogenous cell group because they are always seen in groups. Then you have the extracellular matrix. The extracellular matrix of the hyaline cartilage is seen to be smooth and also present a glassy appearance. And this is as a result of the extracellular matrix blending across the hyaline cartilage. So if you try to use this image up here, you see that this is the histological section of hyaline cartilage. And if you look deep through it, you see that it presents a glassy appearance. And it, of course, also appears to be smooth. And this is because the extracellular matrix tends to blend across the entire section. And this is where you have this kind of presentation. We'll also be dwelling more on this to highlight why this presentation, of course, does occur. So for the extracellular matrix, we know that in general terms, we have the fibers. The fibers specifically for hyaline type of cartilage is a type 2 collagen fiber. So you have specifically type 2 collagen fibers embedded in hyaline type of cartilage. And this is what is harrowed here in blue. These type 2 collagen fibers are seen to be fine in appearance. And this is why they tend to blend with the extracellular matrix. And this is what presents this glassy or smooth appearance of the hyaline type of cartilage. Also, we have the ground substance. The ground substance basically will include the protoglycan and also the glycoproteins. The protoglycans, basically, you have the aggrecan linked by aryluronolic acid. We have glycoproteins, which include chondronectin. So these are the proteins that are seen within the ground substance of hyaline cartilage. So this region here that is harrowed in yellow is the ground substance. And this is what acts as a background onto which the fibers and also the cells are embedded. Also, to add more, there are distinct presentations that also occur around the extracellular matrix in relation to the ground substance. We have specifically the ground substance that is located or situated around the isogenous cell group, and this is specifically referred to as a territorial matrix. This is a newly formed matrix, and it is seen around the isogenous cell group of chondrocytes. Then you have another specific region of the extracellular matrix that is located far from this space. And this is referred to as the interterritorial matrix. And this is what is harrowed here in ash. So you see that at different region, at different space are being tagged different names. And it's important for us to add that the hyaline cartilage is the type of cartilage that is seen during the developmental process. We say that some bones are formed from previously formed cartilages, and this type of cartilages are hyaline type of cartilage, which will further be transformed or become ossified into bone. So it's good for us to highlight this. And also to add that the hyaline type of cartilage are seen to have perichondrium, except articular cartilages. We know that articular cartilages are forms of hyaline type of cartilage. So all other type of hyaline cartilage are seen to have perichondrium. This is where we have the perichondium here, harrowed in white. The perichondium is the outer covering of the cartilage, and it is seen to be made up of dense, irregular type of connective tissue. So this is what is seen around this outer limit. For articular cartilages are not seen to have this kind of presentation. And what this means is that nutrients can diffuse easily from the synovial fluid into the substance of these articular cartilages because they are not seen with the perichondrium, but other type of hyaline cartilage are seen to have perichondrium. So let's look at the fibrocartilage. The fibrocartilage also is the second type of cartilage that we have highlighted. This fibrocartilage, from the name, it is seen to contain a fibrous type of connective tissue and also a cartilaginous tissue. So it's like a two-in-one type of tissue coming together. This type of cartilage is the toughest and also the strongest. And it is the toughest and the strongest because it has high deposits of fibers. And this is why it is seen to be very tough and also strong. What regions of the body do we have the deposit of fibrocartilage? They are seen at intervertebral disc. This is where we have the intervertebral disc here, harrowed in blue. We already described this when we try to highlight the different regions of the body where we have cartilaginous deposit. Specifically at this region, we have fibrocartilage deposited at this place. We also have them in the menisci. The menisci around the new joint. We also have it in the pubic symphysis of the pelvic bone. So these are the specific regions where we have fibrocartilaginous deposit. And at this point, you see that there are regions of the body where intense strength and also support are needed. And because of the configuration that it presents, is able to exhibit these actions. So looking at the structural configuration of the fibrocartilage, we say that they are seen to have cells basically are chondrocytes that are located within the lacunae, and we have the extracellular matrix. So what is distinct about the fibrocartilage is what this slide will be unfolding. So for the cell, this is where we have the cell here heralded at this point, and we say that the cell is embedded within a space that is referred to as lacuna. So we have a number of lacunae within the fibrocartilage. So for the extracellular matrix, we have fibers. The distinct type of fiber that you have in a fibrocartilage is a type 1 collagen fiber. These type 1 collagen fibers are seen to be densely packed and also interwoven. So you have high deposits of interwoven, densely packed type 1 collagen fibers. Because of this high deposition, this is what gives the tough and also the strong presentation that is highlighted of the fibrocartilage. So you have this fiber here, heralded at this point. You can see that you have a densely packed deposition of type 1 collagen fiber. And of course, they are seen in a meshwork. And this is why you see this toughness presented of the fibrocartilage. Then you also have grant substance. The grant substance, of course, are made up of the protoglycans and also the glycoproteins. And we have water deposits. And this is what is heralded here in white. So you have the grant substance also creating the background onto which this densely interwoven type 1 collagen fiber is embedded, and also the cells. And if you look at this presentation here and try to relate it to the histological section of the fibrocartilage up here, you see that you have high deposits of interwoven type 1 collagen fiber. And this is what gives this type of cartilage a tough and also strong appearance. It's also good for us to add that the fibrocartilage lacks perichondrium. And the last type of cartilage is the elastic cartilage. This can also be referred to as the yellow fibrocartilage because of its yellowish coloration. And this type of cartilage is seen to be highly elastic. So they have high elastic capacity. And this is as a result of the elastic fibers that is well deposited in them. So when you see elastic cartilages are in the nose, if you look at this image here, you have it in the nose around this region. You have it in the auricle or the pinna or the external ear that is heralded here in green. You also have it in the larynx that is heralded here in red. Going deep on the larynx, remember we already highlighted that the larynx basically is a collection of cartilages that are seen to come together. And these cartilages are not all made up of elastic cartilage. Some are of hyaline type. When we described hyaline type of cartilage in our previous slide, we tried to highlight that the thyroid cartilage and also the cricoid cartilage are of hyaline type of cartilage. So the remaining structural cartilaginous components of the larynx are made up of elastic cartilage. And this includes the epiglottis. We also have the corniculate and also the cuneiform. So looking at the arytenoid, we say that it has both hyaline and also elastic deposits. So it is made up of both hyaline cartilage and also elastic type of cartilage. So structurally, it is made up of cells, which include specifically the chondrocytes that are embedded in the lacunae and also the extracellular matrix. So this is where we have the cell here, heralded at this point, of course, embedded in the lacuna, and this is what is highlighted here in yellow. So for the extracellular matrix, we have fibers. Specifically, the distinct type of fibers that you have are elastic fibers. So it is rich in elastic fibers, and this is what brings about its flexibility. And this is what is heralded here in white. Then you have the grant substance that is made up of the protoglycans, the glycoproteins, and also water. This is where we have the grant substance here that is heralded here at this point. So what is distinct about elastic cartilage is the high deposit of elastic fibers. And this is what is responsible for its flexibility. And if you try to relate this configuration presented in the handmade image here with this histological section of the elastic cartilage, you see that you have high deposits of elastic fibers. So if you zoom through into this histological section of elastic cartilage, you see high deposits of elastic fibers. And this is what is responsible for the flexibility that is exhibited by the elastic cartilage. It is also important to add that the elastic fibers are seen with perichondrium. So you see an outer perichondrium here heralded in yellow. So we've tried to highlight the different types of cartilages that we have, which include the hyaline type of cartilage, the fibrocartilage, and also the elastic cartilage. Also describing further the distinct characteristics that they present. So let's look at the clinical anatomy. Clinical anatomy basically is that cartilages are difficult to regenerate. And by now, we should be able to justify why this is so. Remember, during the course of this lecture, when we try to describe the general characteristics of cartilage, we say that they are avascular. Regeneration basically requires oxygen and nutrients for new tissue or substances to be formed. And when they are avascular, it means the substances that will be needed for this regeneration will not be there. So it's going to be limited. And this is why the regenerating capacity of cartilage is poor. It is also important for us to add this benefit that cartilage graft or transplant is easily performed. And this is attributed to the fact that they lack lymphatics. So cartilage transplant can be performed without rejection because of this highlighted feature. So thanks for watching this video. Let's continue to stay glued to this channel. Thank you. Bye.